guys, today I'm going to react into a video called Why German Exams Are Hard.
Exams in Germany might be way different from the system that you're used to. So someone who has written them myself, I want to give you a deep dive into exams in German universities and how you can prepare for them. So first off, let's talk about the grading system real quick. At German universities, the grades range from 1.0 to 5.0.
What?
1.0 is the best and 5.0 is the worst.
Okay, I would think it's the other way.
You usually pass an exam when you score 4.0 or better. Now here's something unique about the German education system. At university, you usually get 3 attempts to pass an exam. But if you fail after 3 tries, you're not allowed to continue that subject at any university in Germany. So for example, you're studying math, and if you fail your exam 3 times, you're blocked from studying math anywhere in the country.
Oh my god,
so usually
how
these
many years?
exams are not on random dates during the semester. In Germany, you can divide a semester into 2 different phases: the lecture period and the lecture-free period. In the lecture period, you have your lectures and courses. And in the lecture-free period, well, this sounds like holidays, but there's a catch. This one lasts about 1.5 months to 2 months. Even if there are no lectures during this period, this doesn't mean that you're completely free. And this is because the exam period also falls during the lecture-free period. So for example, this semester, if you only have a couple of exams ahead of you, this period can only last 2 weeks, for example. So you have exams for 2 weeks, and the rest of the lecture-free period is kind of your holiday. But it can also happen that you have a lot of different exams
but you have different
over the entire lecture-free period. This is very, very unfortunate, but if you're unlucky, you have no free time. And my heart goes out to all my friends who study engineering in Munich. 7 exams spread over the entire summer is truly brutal, but it can happen.
Oh my god,
in Germany, you have to school up during the semester with lectures and tutorials, and then this really intense exam season. So even though the schedule at university is flexible, the workload remains quite high. And this period is stressful because the exams are much more concentrated in a small time window. And different than school, at university you have fewer clear instructions. So I want to give you a realistic perspective on the workload at German universities. So on average, we students are expected to complete 30 credit points per semester, and they are called ECTS, so ECTS. And I would say, as a rule of thumb, each credit point equals 25 hours of study. Now 25 times 30, that's the time you usually spend on one semester. Now getting these 30 credits in one semester and completing your entire degree program in the standard period of study is very doable. In Germany, about 40% of students finish their degree on time. But here it is also very socially accepted to study longer. So doing 1 or 2 additional semesters is not something to be afraid of. Many students do this to be more flexible, go on a study abroad, or enjoy the university period a little bit longer. And since most universities are tuition free, it's not the end of the world. Now, I would say the workload here is less about cramming for final exams and more about consistently engaging with your studies throughout the entire semester. So German universities offer lectures, seminars, tutorials, and also exercises. To be honest, I haven't properly experienced a different university system, so I can't directly compare the German education system to a different country. But in my eyes, the workload at university here will keep you busy most of the time. You can work a part-time job, of course, but here's my advice. Settle in first. So get familiar with your academic schedule before jumping into work, because the last thing you want is fall behind in your studies, you know, at the beginning of the journey. So unless it's really necessary, I can't recommend a part-time job in the first semester. But on the other hand, most companies in Germany are also very understanding and give you flexibility when the exam season comes around.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And by the way, if you are an international student and serious about studying in Germany, I can really recommend you download the free Studying in Germany guidebook in the video description. Now in Germany, there are also a lot of different exam types. And the most common one is a written exam that lasts 90 minutes. It usually tests your knowledge on a specific topic, either in the form of open, essay-like or closed questions like in a multiple choice test. But there are also other forms of exams, for example an oral exam. In this case, they test your expertise in a discussion with a lecturer. So you have to explain certain things, defend your position, or solve problems on the blackboard. Then you have the presentation. And in Germany, it's very common to have presentations at universities. This can be in German or English, it really depends on the degree program. And a presentation exam is usually not longer than 15 minutes. Then there's also project work, my personal favorite. I would say this one is more common at universities of applied sciences. For example, in my degree program, Computer Science and Design, we get big semester projects.
On something,
so we did apps and software development, design projects, and also concept work. We usually get about 3 months to complete it, and at the end there's a big presentation in front of the entire class. And there are also term papers as an exam format. A term paper is simply a piece of academic work on a specific topic. And even with ChatGPT, writing a term paper takes some time, but I would say it is considered one of the more relaxed and easier exam formats. So in Germany, it's very typical that the final grade of the course is entirely based on the exam performance. So you have one big exam at the end, and yeah, if you have a bad day, it's not great. But this is how the system works. And now that you have all the basic information about exams at university, I also want to quickly show you how you can properly prepare for exams. So maybe this sounds cliche, but the best thing to do is prepare early. We all know from other situations that time suddenly flies by much faster than we initially thought. It's the same thing during the semester. So at the beginning, the exam period seems so far away. Suddenly time is racing by so fast, and the lecture notes keep piling up. And this happens quite often. You know, the pace at German universities is quite fast. Topics that took half a year to cover at school are now done in 2 lectures. So instead of trying to cram the course content into your head at the last minute, I would say it's better to prepare for lectures, go to the dedicated exercise sessions with tutors, and work on assignments. Even if this means extra work during the lecture period, it will ultimately save you time during the exam.
You're gonna have a better time later on.
Attend lectures, especially the first and last ones, because professors like to drop small hints and secrets about the exam content. I personally don't like to go to all lectures because I feel like sometimes I'm more efficient at home. But in the end, it mostly comes down to how many exercises and mock exams you do. The more you do, the better your exam results. And the key difference here is that German exams focus on your deep understanding of the concepts. So memorization won't get you very far in many cases.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Problems, combine ideas from different areas, and think critically. It's a different mindset compared to systems where memorization might get you through the exam. Now, the interesting thing is, in some exams, you might be allowed to bring a cheat sheet, but don't get too excited. So when I first heard that we were allowed to bring this cheat sheet into the math exam, I was really happy.
No, that's honest, usually...
even with a cheat sheet, it
that's not good actually.
If you don't fully understand the material. To be honest, I'm more afraid of these open book exams compared to, other exams. And this shows once again that universities in Germany put more emphasis on deep subject knowledge instead of memorizing a bunch of facts.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, in case you fail an exam or get a bad grade, it's not the end of the world. You usually get multiple attempts in an exam, and with proper effort, they are all doable. You also get plenty of support at university from tutors and fellow students who are also in the same position as you. And in Germany, exams and grades are important, but not the only factor for success later. Employers focus on overall performance, so motivation, soft skills, and German proficiency. Now, in case you want to learn German directly from me, check out SPE German and also other useful resources in the video description. Subscribe and join our huge Discord community. Love you and stay focused.
Okay, this was incredibly interesting. It made me kind of scared. I was scared at the beginning of the video, and I have to say, I'm still scared now. Even more scared. This is crazy. I didn't really know, it's interesting because he's like, I don't really have anything to compare it with. And it is kind of like, I don't know, it's interesting because I think the 3 attempts, I think it's kind of like the craziest thing to me about this whole situation, because it's like, okay, I kind of understand it because yes, I in college, I think you can fail up to a certain time. I think that's usually like it happens. I think a lot of colleges all over the world do have that. You can't just repeat a subject or repeat a class, and you can just take a class like forever, because usually like well, it depends. I think I've known places that do like 2, but it's sort of like you only, if you fail this subject, if you fail, I don't know, chemistry 1, you fail chemistry 1, and if your final exam is here, you failed it, you can't really like complete, you can't really take like other courses unless you like take that one. So it's that whole semester, you're just like focus on chemistry 1, because you can't really like advance on your degree unless you do this, which obviously it sucks, and that's why a lot of students are scared of it. It's like, yes, I can't spend like 6 months of my life in doing this, but unfortunately, like it happens sometimes. So, you do that. But if you fail that second time, I think usually like you can't just like retake that one. I think they just like drop you. Like you can just like, well, you have to either take you're not banned, but you're just like you can't really continue on this degree. Like you can take another, and you can stay here in at this college, but you have to like choose another degree. But actually I don't know if the ban is sort of like permanent, or if maybe like do they have a time period. I have no idea. I don't know, I've never met that case, but I don't know if that's usually, I don't know, it can happen. I have no idea, but I know that's the case for some colleges. However, if you're like, no, I don't want to go here, like I'll just switch colleges, I'll go somewhere else, you're able to do so. Like they're not gonna be like, no, we know what you did. It's like, and here apparently it is, because even though you get 3 attempts, it seems crazy to me that they'll ban you. Like, no, you can't study this degree in any college in Germany. It's like, okay, again, that seems kind of harsh. And I'm thinking, and even like the story I'm just telling, like the method of like, if you fail, they give you like 2 attempts. And I thought that was harsh. This is like way harder, because again, it's like, how, like you can't just like ban people from studying something in the whole country. Like that seems crazy. It is like, I don't know, maybe they'll count you with like, we're giving you 3 attempts, which I think may seem like you can get bad luck one time. I think maybe it happens, maybe like the second time. Maybe some people, you get unlucky for a second time, and maybe the third one is just like, no, I'm sorry, we can't allow this anymore. Maybe that's sort of like the logic behind it all. It's like, yes, so stuff happens, we'll give you 2 more. And we can understand something happening the second time, but like the third time, no, that's unheard of. And it's sad, because it's like, okay, so how come I'm banned from like studying engineering? So I have to like move, I have to go to another country if I want to be an engineer, and I failed 3 times. That seems crazy to me, but actually, I don't know. It's like, it's a cutthroat business, actually. It's like, well, no, if maybe you're not cut out to be an engineer or whatever it is that you're studying. If you're studying like history, you fail 3 times, it's like, choose another thing. It's like, oh my God, that would be so hard. I'd be heartbroken. I'd be like, I don't know, scared. It would be terrible. But maybe it's just like, imagine if your lifelong dream is having a degree on a particular subject, and you fail 3 times. It's like, the college and the whole country is telling you, do not waste your time, choose something else, you're not good at this. It's like, no. I'm like, that sucks. And I'm wondering, like, again, he's like, is it forever? Can he like take some years to like clear my head and maybe get smarter? Well, not smarter, that doesn't really mean anything. Like in this context, it means like we get like studying and getting a degree doesn't have anything to do with how smart you are and with intelligence. It just like, it's a lot of factors. But maybe you take some time like to clear my head, I'll take 5 years off. Can I come back? He's like, no, because we know from your record that you tried to study this and you failed 3 times. That seems crazy. He's like, okay, well, I guess I'll move then. I don't know. But it would be, I don't know, like the psychological aspect of it all. I'm scared for German students now, because it's crazy. But I don't know, it is maybe, and people think that it's funny, because people think that colleges in the USA, not just like the actual like classes, because it really does depend a lot on what college you go to, but it's funny that the admission process in the USA, it's like, it's cutthroat. Like it's an insane thing. And I was thinking like in Germany and other places in Europe were maybe a little bit more laid back. But even though I don't know how the admission process is here, but the actual studying, it's like, okay, well, that's the cutthroat. Like it's crazy. And also it surprised me that he's like, I don't really go to lectures that much. He's like, okay, aren't lectures, like, aren't you supposed to go there? Then he's like, no, I feel like I learn more, which is like, well, I think it depends. I think also it depends on what kind of degree you're getting. But I do like the fact that they have like 4 different types of evaluations. Obviously the written exam, I think, is probably the most nerve-wracking for a lot of people, because obviously it involves you like, oh, I have to like cram and I have to study, and you're like getting into like the psychological aspect of things, and I think you can get really in your head, and I think that's probably like the scariest one. But also like presentations, for example. Presentations I think are probably like not easy, but I think you can really relax a little bit, because you can just prepare it and you can practice, and it's good. And oral exam probably is the same way. Like you're just studying and maybe you can explain it better, but I think it does depend. Some people are better with like the written subjects, because it allows you time to think. Some people are better, to think about what you're really saying and structure your I don't know, whatever it is that it is, especially if it is essays. If it's just like, like all, if those are like the hardest one, but it's just like, no, it's just like you just answer and you have options. Maybe I think that's like the easiest one, I think, maybe. But again, the oral presentation or an oral exam, again, some people are just better at like explaining subjects when they're talking. So again, that seems like easier. But and obviously like the project work, I think that's probably most people's favorite. I think when you're studying a degree and you're trying to earn your degree, it's usually like the theory part. It's good. Obviously, you need it. Every degree is going to have that up to a certain point. But I think a lot of careers have that. Well, a lot of degrees have that of like when you gotta get up to a certain point, they really do try to test like how much have you learned by actually like putting your knowledge into something. So I do like that. That's like that. Even like he said, it's more common instead of like practical degrees, like he mentioned, I think it was computer science, and I would assume engineering is the same way. I wouldn't expect something maybe like if you're studying, I don't know, like art history, maybe I wouldn't expect something like this, but I think that a lot of degrees, there are ways you can do this, but I do like the fact that they do sort of like offer that sort of like presentation, sort of like a thesis, and it's sort of like a mix. I think my favorite, like I know that some places do like both a thesis, like you have to like write, you have to pick a subject and you have to like do that, and it's just like, again, it's not PhD level, it's just like to get a bachelor's degree, and you really do have to get your term paper, but it takes you like, it's a whole, you work on that throughout the whole year, and also that's coupled with an actual project, tangible project that you can also again, whatever it is, whether it's building something or I don't know, just writing something, I don't know, something, but you need an actual project, as in like I'm seeing the results of this, and also like you're explaining the theory behind this with your term paper. But it doesn't really last a semester. I know that some places do it, like it takes you longer, like it takes you like it takes you a year. I also don't know how common, like what's the average for degrees in Germany. I'm guessing it's 4 for a bachelor's degree, maybe 3 or maybe 4. I don't really know, I'm unclear, because again, it can go from like 3 to 5 years depending on what you're studying, depending on the country, like it depends on so many things. But it was very interesting, and I do like the fact that, again, I think the practical one is probably most students' favorite, because obviously if you're studying something, you want to get after studying like so much like theory, you want to get your hands on like, I'm ready to like put my knowledge to the test and actually like do something with this. And obviously there's going to be like a subject in particular that you like, and obviously you want to like do and you want to work on that. So I do like that, and I think it's probably like most students would prefer that. And I do have to say that something about like those sort of like classes where they tell you like, oh, it's gonna be okay, like we're gonna have an exam and you can have like a cheat test, like you can have your little paper and you can just write things down. Those are the ones that you should be completely scared of, because at first glance you think, oh great, like it's gonna be a piece of cake. No, absolutely not. Those are the ones that really do get you, because the things are like, it's harder because it's not going to be about memorizing things. It's going to be a lot of like, you have to analyze things, and that's why they make you like bring your cheat thing. It's like, yes, you have like that maybe like false sense of stability, and I'm gonna be okay. It's like, no, it's gonna be harder, because it's gonna make you harder, like the whole thing, the subject's gonna be overcomplicated. And maybe I think it's a way of like, again, of creating like false confidence in students, because you're thinking, oh, they're just gonna ask me like what's on this and what we've seen. It's like, no, they want you to think, so it's gonna be a little bit harder. Like, again, you shouldn't be like so scared of the whole thing, but again, just maybe like approach it carefully, because in my experience, those are like the worst kind of exams. So once they're like, oh, you complete your little study thingy, it's like, okay, those are like the worst. But yeah, this was incredibly interesting, and I'm scared, and I don't want to go to college in Germany, and I don't know, at any level, and I don't know, but maybe they'll prepare, I don't know how it is for international students, but you have to be prepared. And I like the fact that he's just like really explaining it, because if you are not used to this, I can see how it could be like a pretty like huge culture shock, especially again if you have to actually, would you have to work? You have to get like a part-time job. And he's like, do not do that. It's like, okay, especially like for the first like few months. But maybe again for German students, maybe it's different because they're, you know, they probably prepare you since you're in high school. Like this is gonna be like this. And it's like, okay, maybe that's good and that's better. But I'm scared for international students that are maybe coming into this a little bit cold. So hopefully they'll find this video and so they can, you know, they can know how it is. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.